very well bred by the high-class sire Scirocco, and out of a dam called Chicago Vic. He's going to be trained near Cheltenham by Fergal O'Brien and Graham McPherson, who are a fantastic team. And they couldn't be happy with the horse and how he's going. And it was quite a nice story as the local school children got invited down to the yard, and they did a competition, and they managed to name the horse, and I think it's turned out fantastic. The horse Go Chicago it's got two charities, and the two charities are quite close to my heart. One is Racing Welfare, and the other is Racing to School. So Racing Welfare it's an industry that provides 24/7 help to people on retired and still in the industry today. So Racing Welfare is an absolute vital cog in the racing industry, and obviously Racing to School, it's getting younger people, which we absolutely need, younger generation getting into the horse racing world, and it's just a fun way for them to learn about it. So.
Well, I think we've said this before, Phil, haven't we? Racing is always very good at rallying round for charitable causes, and well done you for supporting the Good Racing Company. Now, finally, Paul, I know you're in Bahrain, but this is a tricky question, I'm sure, if there were three things and only three things that you could change for the better in British racing, what would they be?
Well, I mean, people will probably roll their eyes at this one because it's probably heard the most. Obviously, prize money. And I think prize money is obviously very important because it's just a fact what's happening at the moment with British racing. It's because prize money isn't good enough. A lot of the better horses are starting to go abroad, unfortunately. And I've sat on plenty, rode plenty where, you're looking forward to next season, and you can't blame owners for selling because they're getting good money offered for going abroad to race for good money. So I think one of them, I know it's a bit boring, but prize money to be much better in the UK. Another one I'd have to say, I think we're just kind of shooting ourselves in the foot with the amount of the volume of racing. At the minute, I just think there's just far too much, I'm afraid. Hence, there's no prize money, and I think the problem is it's just too much from just a kind of jockey's point of view. I think just there's a lot of bad horses at the minute. I think my final thing I would change is I would put a cap on certain horses that are allowed to breed. I think there's too many lowly rated horses that are allowed to breed, and we're just going round in a bit of a bad cycle lately, breeding bad. So that would be my three, I think.
I think that's very interesting, that last one you've mentioned, because I think for some small breeders, if you like, those who haven't got many horses, it is a bit of a vanity project, isn't it? They're breeding off horses rated 45, 50, 55. And as you say, you're the first guest that's ever mentioned that. And it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It just perpetuates a cycle, doesn't it, of bad horses being bred. And by bad horses, people, I mean slow horses, nothing to do with their temperament. They're just not very quick. And then we have to have a racing program to fulfill their needs, don't we?
You've hit the nail on the head, Simon, because, I don't want to kill the dream, because it does happen every so often where, lowly rated horses, you can breed a good horse now and again, but I just think there's just too many, lowly rated horses, and we're just going around in a cycle. Bad racing, it doesn't look good on TV, I don't think, and it's not gonna. They're not going to be running for good money, I'm afraid.
Paul, really appreciate having you on. As I said, you've not even been in Bahrain 24 hours. Really enjoyed this interview. Three very good points for British racing. I hope people take note. And what are you up to now for the rest of the day? A bit of sleep, or have you got to try and sort out where you're staying?
Well, It's been a pleasure, by the way. Thanks for having me on. It's a great show.
You're welcome.
And,
You're welcome.
Keep up the good work. But I actually have my family out with me. The boys are on half term, so they've come out with me, probably just to keep their eye on me, because they just don't trust me whatsoever on my own and getting things done right. So
how old are they? How old are you boys?
15 and 12, I think. I'm probably getting in trouble now.
and they keep dad in order, do they?
Yeah, they do. It's going to be pretty sad when they go home next week, because unfortunately they have to go back to school. But they're coming back to see me on holidays and Christmas, so I'm sure I'll be able to cope. Touch wood.
Well, listen, Paul, thanks again. Hope your stint in Bahrain is a long one, and the very best of luck with the Good Racing Company. Thanks very much, Paul.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, what a great guest Paul was, Phil. I tell you what, the sound quality was fantastic from Bahrain. And off air, our producer, Callum Ronan, said that that's the furthest in terms of geographic distance that he's ever had a guest. So there's a first for Inside the Rails. And talking about the interview, Phil, I was particularly struck by his third improvement for British racing about there being too much breeding of low quality horses. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And yeah, what a great guest. Spoke very well. First time I've spoken to Paul, and really enjoyed chatting to him. He's setting a high bar for us to find a similarly good guest for next month. But we'll work on that. And while we're doing so, I need to do my usual wrap-up requests to our listeners. So if anybody is listening to this and you don't already follow or subscribe to Inside the Rails, please do so on your podcast platform. That will make sure that you get the next episode as soon as it comes out. If you'd like to engage with us, if you look at the show notes on your podcast platform, it's got our Twitter accounts on there. So please feel free to contact us. If you need any advice about joining a syndicate or about shared ownership in general, we're always happy to help with that. Please tell your friends about the podcast if you've enjoyed it. And if you're at Ascot, please come and see us at the Ownership Day.
Well, that just leaves me to thank co-host Phil Boyle from BG Racing, our special guest, former champion jockey Paul Hanagan, producer Callum Ronan from Callum Ronan Creative, and of course you, the listeners. The clocks have gone back, the days are getting shorter, and a previously imperious Baid has been beaten. But it's not all doom and gloom. You only have to save up for 4 days, not 5, at the Cheltenham Festival. This is Simon Double from Solaria Racing and Inside the Rails saying goodbye.